Hello, welcome back again to Cigars of London podcast. I'm here this evening with Jed.
What's going on?
And obviously here's me, your number one main man, Jon. So we're here for another solid hour of cigar chat, and this evening we are smoking Rocky Patel Special Reserve Sun-Grown Maduro. It's a mouthful. If you're curious, it is a 5-inch cigar, 50 ring gauge, another little box press, which is becoming a bit of a theme. Triple cap cigar, this one, all Nicaraguan, long filler and binders, and USA Connecticut broadleaf wrapper.
Excellent. Nice looking band as well on there.
Yeah, I do appreciate a nice band.
And the smell of this cigar is really nice.
Yeah, this one's
It's like a chocolate bar.
yeah, it is.
Or something along those lines.
Yeah, Christmassy.
Shall we break into these bad boys?
Let's do it.
See what they're saying.
Yeah, I'm excited about this one. I feel I've had a Rocky Patel before a long while ago, but it wasn't.
We've had one of the anniversary editions on a YouTube video last year, and it was the video where we forgot to plug the microphone in.
Oh yeah,
And it sounds awful.
yeah, I remember that video.
So
So if you want your ears tortured, just go back in the archives on the Cigars of London main YouTube channel, and you can listen to us amateurishly review.
Yeah, if you're interested in that, actually no, just don't watch it. It's pretty awful.
Maybe just for continuity, go back and see what we were doing on the YouTube channel back in the day.
Yeah. So let me toast this cigar. We'll get it lit. I've been looking forward to the... Oh, goodness.
Oh, technical issues. I think we should just jump straight in with the matches.
That's right, the lighter just needed a good shake. So I picked these up in the store again this week. After our chat last week, you would have thought that I wouldn't go to the shop again, but I went back to the store because they have such a good collection of non-Cuban cigars, and we'll talk more on Cubans versus non-Cubans later on.
Well, so funnily enough, I was having a bit of a thought about it this week. So this week I've mostly been spending time with my new puppy, Loki, who is an absolute handful. And then at the midpoint of this week, I decided to review my humidor and see what's in there. So I thought, there's always odds and sods in it. I'll buy a bunch full from a shop or online, or I'll bring a few back from going away, and I'll pick out the ones I'm most excited about, and others will just kind of sit there by the wayside. But not to say I won't enjoy them, they just weren't my first choice out the pick of the litter.
Yeah.
So remaining in my humidor are 2 Trinidad's, an Epicure number 2, Coyote Monterey, and 2 Comanchos, Tubos.
The yellow tin?
The yellow tin Tubos, yeah. Which is quite keen on exactly the subject I'd quite like to talk about this week.
Okay.
Because right there in my humidor is a split between Cuban and non-Cuban.
Sorry, I was just taking my first draw there.
How did you find the draw?
Perfect.
Struggling a little.
Really?
Yeah.
You might want to take more off, no?
No. Because it's beginning to unravel at the cap.
Oh, okay. Alright. It might loosen up. But before we go too off track, going back to what you were just saying, did you smoke any of the few you were talking about?
No, I haven't actually smoked any cigars this week, unusually. I was considering one, because the one lone run of the litter in there is a little Davidoff, which I've had my eye on for a little while as a car journey cigar.
Is that one you bought back from Poland?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And it occurred to me, I don't think I've ever had a Davidoff before. It's just sitting there in the humidor, and every time I open it, it goes, "Pockety!"
Just waiting to be smoked.
Yeah.
I'm sure the opportunity will present itself soon.
But it got me to thinking about the differences between the two, personally.
Yeah.
So I looked straight at the Trinidad's, and they're always a bit of an event for me. It's quite expensive. And they're Cuban, and they remind me of going to lounges and being ushered into the expensive end of cigars.
Yeah.
And sitting there and, you know, perhaps even having a conversation with somebody else in the lounge or the owner or whatever. And these are, you know, really exciting and that kind of thing. And being felt like I'm pressured to enjoy that particular cigar.
Yeah. And
then quite on the opposite end of the spectrum there's those yellow tin Tubo Comanchos, which are just easy, but fantastic. And I was trying to, much on the same way we were talking about online versus buying in the shop.
Yeah.
I found myself trying to weigh up the pros and cons between Cuban and non-Cuban. And I'm interested to see your viewpoint.
I could go on and on and on. I know we've touched on this topic before last year.
Yeah.
And my thoughts and opinions haven't really changed a lot.
So now, just for people listening then, outline for us your base thoughts and opinions on this.
I'll do my best.
And we'll unpack it as best we can.
I'll do my best. So, when it comes to Cuban cigars, they are very expensive for us here in the UK. So, my go-to being the Monte Cristo number 2. You're looking at a £30 cigar now.
Yep.
And I don't know about you, but I wouldn't want to smoke a couple of those a week. No. It becomes quite expensive, and it does start to break the bank a little bit, you know, just for something to sit down and enjoy. Now, these Rocky Patel cigars that we're smoking right now were £15 each. So, put quite simply, I can get 2 of these cigars for the price of 1 Monte Cristo, and I will get the same, if not more, pleasure out of a non-Cuban cigar, simply because it's a different experience for me, because I've not tried many non-Cubans at all.
Yeah.
The price point is always important for me. So if I've spent £30 on a cigar, I need the stars to line up. The evening needs to be perfect. The temperature needs to be perfect. The wind needs to be perfect. The company needs to... If everything is perfect, fine. But when is it really?
True. So you're saying if you spend that much money on a cigar and it doesn't all line up, you feel cheated in some way?
A little bit, yeah. And with a non-Cuban cigar being half the price, you feel a little bit less guilty, and you can enjoy it in the car. You can enjoy it at home whilst you're doing some work. And because of that price point alone, it just makes it easier to enjoy.
There's not so much pressure, not so much ceremony.
Exactly, yeah.
Interesting.
And with all of that being said, I've never had a bad non-Cuban cigar.
Also interesting. So, earlier on, we put a poll on the Cigars of London Instagram page to decide which cigars we were going to smoke in the podcast today. And obviously the options were this one and another one that will remain nameless until perhaps next time around. And if you don't know which one it was and you want the opportunity to vote next time, follow us on Instagram, Cigars of London. Now, one of the questions that was posed, comments on that post was, which of the cigars is most accessible? Now, I think that's probably a pretty key point in a little check mark in the non-Cuban box.
Yeah.
Because I would say of the 2 that were put up for vote, they're both equally accessible.
Yep.
They're about the same edition range, if you will. They're relatively similar price points. And for availability, in the UK, sure. Everywhere, no problem. In the States, even more likely.
Yeah.
Across Europe, not sure.
No,
honestly,
I'm not sure either. No.
And in some of the cigar lounges I've seen on the continent, they tend to favour the Cuban end of the market. But I think that's because the prices are much different.
Yeah, no, that is true. The store I got these from, their humidor is split.
Yeah.
Almost in half with non-Cubans and Cubans. So you can go in and you've got a good selection. And I really like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a tough one because I mean, you go on Instagram, the most of the content I see is Cuban cigars. People do seem to favour Cuban cigars. Maybe it is because they're more exclusive. Maybe it is because of the history, the way they're branded.
I think there's a massive part of the appeal of Cuban cigars is that they're sexy because they're considered somehow forbidden. Now, not for us, that's never been a problem, right? We've had importers in the UK in the majority, like Hunters and Francow, for literally hundreds of years. But since the trade embargo with Cuba in the States, Cubans have been banned and, kind of a bootleg product, a back alley deal, black market kind of thing. So they became quite sexy, at least in modern times. And of course, they've always been prominent because they wouldn't have been so popular for 100 years if they weren't good quality products. But I think a good element of people enjoying the luxury of Cuban cigars is that in certain nations they were that much of a luxury because they were so sparse because they were illegal.
Yeah.
I think that's a big reason people smoke them, or that they have that stigma.
Yeah, sure. And it's funny you say that actually, because most of our cigar reviews from last year were Cuban cigars. And it does make me wonder why. For me personally, I always go back to Cubans. And it sounds like I'm contradicting myself a little bit, because there's me saying I don't want to spend £30 on a Cuban cigar. But when I go to the store, I always spend £30 on a Cuban cigar.
Yeah.
Rather than buying two non-Cuban cigars and enjoying them equally the same.
And I think for exactly the same reasons, I think there's a precondition for people who are going to enjoy cigars to lean towards the Cuban end of the market. And I know this from talking to people who don't necessarily indulge themselves in cigars the way we do. So when it comes up in conversation, there's two responses. When people find out that I'm part of a cigar YouTube channel or podcast, people go, what?
Yeah.
Why? Or they go, oh, I like a cigar.
Yeah.
And now, I think about, when people say this, I think about the same way as when people say to me, I like Star Wars. Because I'm a bit of a geek and I like Star Wars. So I need to try and gauge how much you like Star Wars, so we can start talking about different areas of the forest moon of Endor. Or do you just think Princess Leia was quite hot in the 70s? Do you know what I mean? So it's the same. People go, I like cigars. And I go, oh, okay, what do you smoke?
Yeah.
And either people will lay out a nice collection of their favourites or what they're smoking at the minute, and I go, okay, you and I can have a conversation. Cool, we're on the same level here. Or maybe they're even more knowledgeable than I am, almost likely. Or they go, Cubans? Like, that's the only thing that's possible. And it turns out they generally, they enjoy a cigar, but they smoke a Habano with their brother-in-law at a wedding or an anniversary or Christmas.
Or even worse, their last cigar they had was behind the bike sheds at school.
Yes.
That one of their friends found in their dad's top drawer.
And how much do you think that experience influences people to smoke cigars again later? You think, I'm not sure I would have appreciated the quality of any cigars, Cuban or not, if I'd first lit it at the age of 14 behind a bike shed.
Yeah. No, neither would I. Oh, I still remember my first cigar. Emotional times.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was in my car. I went to the store and I picked up a chocolate flavoured cigar. It was unbranded. Yeah. It was just one from the counter.
Yeah.
And I was quite scared because it was a very mature thing to do. And I had it in my car, and it was like, I didn't really know what I was doing, but it was fun, I guess. And then the next time I went back to the store, I was introduced to actual branded cigars, and I started to learn a little bit about it. And maybe that's why I always go back to Cubans, because it was my my second cigar after the chocolate one.
Your first one that you enjoyed.
Yeah, that was a Cuban. I can't remember for the life of me what it was. There's a blog post on the website about it. And like you were saying earlier, the Trinidad's, it reminds you of being in a lounge. It reminds you of certain experiences. So maybe if we do experiment with non-Cubans more, we'll go back to them more. We have no reason not to, because, as I was saying earlier, for me personally, I've never had a bad one. I've never had one that's burnt unevenly, that's kept going out. I've never had one that's plugged. with Cubans, I'm forever hearing stories about people buying boxes and, 3 out of the 10 or 5 out of the 10, I said this last week, I think.
Yeah.
Were bad and they couldn't smoke them.
Yeah, true. I often, the other thing that I quite like about the non-Cuban market is that it's a bit wacky. And I'm sure I've said this in videos before, is that the Cuban market appears to stick to a general tradition.
Yeah.
A fairly, I'm going to say straight-laced, I can't think of a better term, but it's definitely traditionalist. And the non-Cuban market's got all kinds of crazy crap in it.
Yeah.
And there's stuff that I go, I want to smoke that just to see what it's like, because it's insane. Inch.
Yep.
One that I've seen a bunch of times.
Yep.
I've never quite got round to smoking, but it's a huge, great cigar, and I just want to try it for the sake of trying it. There was some that we saw in one of our favourite cigar shops, and they were like a St. Patrick's Day special.
Oh, yeah?
And they were wrapped in 2 colours, and one of them was green, like a wacky barber's pole.
Yeah. Looked awesome. Didn't try one.
No, but again, it just makes me go, for how cheap that is, I'd probably give that a go.
Yeah, why not?
Just to see what it's like.
Yeah.
My first cigar.
Yeah.
And obviously there was my first serious cigar, which you smoked with me.
Yeah.
But the first one I ever had, I brought a box of King Edward cigars back from France.
Yeah.
When I was 15. So quite a lot of years ago. And I did it. We went on a battlefield tour while I was still serving in the army.
How old were you?
I joined the army at 15 and 9 months. So to be fair, I was probably 16. So my basic training was boy service. So it's 7 months long. So halfway through, we went on a battlefield tour around France and Normandy beaches, Sword Beach, Gold Beach, Juno Beach. And obviously you go for a lot of duty-free places, and there was a ferry port, and I thought I've got to take something back. And I came across this box of 50. 50. But were they euros at the time? Yes, I think they were euros at the time. I think we moved on from francs by that point. And I bought them on a 16-year-old soldier's salary, which is not a lot of money, and I was quite happy to buy a box of 50 cigars. So I can't imagine that I spent that much money on them, and they were not very good. I remember that. So I think I bought them and then smoked them on the ferry on the way back, and I think I was probably telling myself I enjoyed it more than I actually enjoyed it. And then probably through soldiers' drunkenness and generosity, a lot of them disappeared over that remaining 3 months of my basic training. But I saved 2, because obviously you have a passing out parade.
Yeah.
And you get all dressed up in your number 2s with your peak cap and all that kind of palaver, and the family all turn up. So I saved 2 for me and my best buddy at the time, a guy called Kyle Porter, to have, almost immediately after we passed out.
Yeah.
And I had them inside the pocket of my tunic. That's a real thing. So they were in there, and they were in. I remember they were individually wrapped. They were cellophane wrapped. And we'd finished the whole parade and all that, and we step off the parade square and say hello to our families. And I pulled the cigars out for me and my buddy, and we lit them up. And it was before I knew how to store them. They were the driest, most disgusting, crumbly thing I've ever put a lighter to. It was terrible.
I was going to ask, how are you storing these?
In the cardboard box they came in my military locker behind my boots.
Just like peanut dust.
Absolutely. Shocking.
Let's turn back to the cigar we're currently smoking for a few minutes.
Sure.
How are you finding it?
Quite spicy.
Yeah.
It feels like it's got more to mellow. I feel like there's more in it to be had. The wrapper itself, there's a flavour to it. There's a tinge, and it's like a bitter, like a burnt caramel kind of flavour.
Yeah.
And the smoke itself, yeah, really quite spicy at the minute, but not in a bad way. I'm quite enjoying that.
Yeah.
It's like a pepper spice, like a black pepper spice.
It's leaving a nice oily, a tasty oily texture on my lips.
Yeah.
After each draw, you kind of lick your lips, and there's a nice. That's where I'm getting the caramel that you were just talking about.
Precisely.
And then the smoke, the aftertaste is quite peppery, a little bit spicy, I just had to break my ash off. It was just shy of an inch. Nice white ash. Yours is holding on pretty strong there.
Yeah, we shall see. I have a habit of dropping it in my lap. The smoke is quite thin, I find. To the texture,
Yeah.
mouthfeel. That's not a bad thing either, because it's still quite flavourful.
At the same time, I do like a cigar that bellows out smoke.
Yes, yeah.
Really thick smoke output is always nice. One thing I will touch on is that box press. It feels, and there's no other way I can say this without it sounding sexual.
Right.
It feels really nice in my mouth.
Okay.
The shape of it.
Yeah, it's easy.
Comfortable.
Yes.
Easy to smoke.
Easy. Now I've got this problem that I've managed to have the cap, or one of the caps, the first cap of the triple cap, start to unravel on mine. But I won't do Rocky Bazaar a disservice. That was probably my cut.
Did you cut down to the last cap?
Well, no, but I appear to have cut a third off the top cap, and it's peeling off from one end. But I won't complain, because as I say, it wasn't exactly flush, so I can't really lay that on the roller.
And to be fair, it probably didn't help with me pushing them in one of those little cardboard cigar boxes, which I have right here.
Ah, yeah.
It might have picked it off or something.
I mean, this is the cutter we used, right?
Yes.
And it's
It is a sharp.
It's sharpish double guillotine.
Cheap, but sharp. But no, overall, I'm enjoying this cigar so far. Much like the one we had last week, it's just a nice sit down. It's easy going. I have no doubt in my mind that it will develop further. And I think I saw a comment from someone saying that these are quite chocolatey. So I don't know if that's going to come later on. I don't know if it's going to mellow out.
Yeah.
And we're going to get more sweetness from it, and like that spice is going to tone down a little bit, because I've not taken a draw in a few minutes now, and I've still got that spice on the back of my tongue. But it's not a bad thing. It's as I say, it's a nice, easy, pleasurable. I'm having mine with rum. You're having yours with coffee.
I am.
Milky.
Milky coffee.
Milky coffee.
But it'll go quite well if that chocolate flavour appears later on in the cigar. So,
I never asked you. Cubans or non-Cubans?
Dear difficult.
Like, if I sent you in a shop with £30,
yeah,
and I said, go and buy yourself a cigar, and you went in the humidor, and half of the humidor was non-Cubans, and the other half was Cubans, what would you walk out with?
Where am I? I'm in the UK.
Yes. Now, I don't want any change. You have to spend all of the 30 of the pounds.
All of the 30 of the pounds. I think if on the face of it now, I think I would come out with non-Cubans. I think. Because I'd grab a handful of something like the Comanchos.
Yeah.
However, I'm still a bit of a sucker the same way you are. Because if I go in and there's an exclusivo in there or whatever, it's entirely possible I'm going to go, ooh.
Yeah, dude, I went in the shop, right? And this is exactly what we were talking about last week on the podcast. I went in the shop and I said, I want two of those, now I'm leaving. Oh wait, what's that? And there was a little sticky note underneath one cigar that said new.
Yeah.
And I was instantly like, ooh.
Oh, hello.
I definitely need to spend £35 extra on that one cigar.
Oh, it's new. Keep talking.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, new, limited edition, like sold. The guy behind the counter. Those down there are good. Fine, I'll take them. Those are good. Fine, I'll take some of those too. Yeah. We've just got these in. I've basically run out of money. Will you have them next week? Probably not. Okay, I'll take them.
Yeah.
It's one of those.
Yeah, I think if in that particular instance, if you gave me the cash, I would go in with the intention of coming out with a handful of
non-Cubans. Okay.
But and here's the clincher: is I think it sits in that point that you made. what am I doing with them?
Mm.
So if it's Jed's birthday,
Yeah.
I'm probably going to buy Cubans.
Mm.
I'm probably going to buy Monte Cristos.
But you've only got £30.
True. I'm going to go to the guy in the cigar shop and say, can I have 2/3 of a Monte Cristo, please? Will you chop the end off and I'll give you 30 quid?
Yeah, plus discount.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Yeah, no, as I said earlier, I am a sucker for a Cuban cigar, and I think I'm a sucker for a Cuban cigar because I know what I'm going back for. The reason I like a Monte Cristo number 2 is because I know what I'm going to get. With that being said, you do get the occasional bad one, and when you go all the way into town and you come home with your £30 cigar and you get a bad one, it's a little bit, oh Christ, I should have just got 2 non-Cubans.
Yeah.
They would have been good. I would have enjoyed them, but I don't know. It's where does it end really?
I'd be interested to hear what people have to say about this.
Yeah.
Because I'm with you. I have, not to my memory, ever had a bad non-Cuban cigar.
No.
But we certainly haven't smoked thousands of them.
No, we haven't.
So I'd be interested to see if people have got a particular brand, non-Cuban, that they go, these always have plugs in, the rolls are always terrible,
Yeah.
whatever. Be interested to hear what people have to say about that.
I saw a post on Instagram a couple of months ago, and someone had cut their cigar and pulled a piece of plastic out of their cigar, Cuban cigar, and all of the comments were saying, I've experienced this. Cuban cigars are going downhill. They're trying to mass produce them. They're trying to get them out so too quickly because they're so popular. Blah blah blah. So I don't know if this is something that's going to continue happening with Cuban cigars. I don't know if the quality control isn't what it used to be. I don't know. To be honest, if you sent me in the shop with £30, I would buy a Cuban cigar. Because I'm just a sucker for it.
Because you're a sucker.
I just am. With non-Cuban cigars, they do tend to be a lot stronger.
Yeah.
Spicy, earthy leathers.
Yeah.
With Cubans, I get a lot more of the sweeter, more subtle coffee, chocolate flavours, which I really enjoy.
Yeah.
From a cigar. The St. Louis Rey that we had that one time, still my all-time favourite cigar. I remember that day as if it was yesterday because of that cigar.
That's very true, and so do I. That is an exceptional stick. And it conjures up all those things you just said. There's chocolate, there's cream, there's a little coffee in there, there's even a touch of vanilla as it starts to mature as you smoke down the cigar. Yeah.
Exactly.
It sits right in there. And they are, although you may, as you said, in the Cuban world, get so many in the box to the pour, the flavour's the same from stick to stick.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't have enough experience with non-Cubans to say that non-Cubans aren't consistent from stick to stick.
There's time.
There's plenty of time. There's plenty more podcasts to come.
So we were going to touch on why we smoke cigars, why we originally started smoking cigars. I've covered my own story a few times. It goes back to when I was stuck in a traffic jam, and the part of road that I was on, I was actually outside a pub.
Okay.
And I smelt, it was summertime, I had my windows down, arm out the window. I was looking pretty cool.
Biceps hanging out.
Yeah. And I smelt a cigar, and you might be wondering, how did you know it was a cigar if you never had one? It's a distinct smell, isn't it? You know the difference between a cigarette and a cigar.
Sure.
Cigars are classy.
Yeah.
And I thought, there's something about the smell that's really appealing to me right now. It was really warm, sunglasses on, full summer, you're in a vest.
Yeah.
And I looked over, and this guy was just sitting there on his own, reading a book, having a cigar. And I thought, I need to try a cigar. I've never smoked a cigarette before in my life, but there's something about smoking a cigar that really just, I don't know, there's something about it that I wanted to be a part of. I've never been a heavy drinker, and I guess there was always this one little, I don't know, there was something missing inside of me. There was that one thing that I wanted to be able to do.
A little vice waiting to happen.
Yeah, there was that one thing that I wanted to be able to do on my own or with friends that was grown up, and you could just sit down and enjoy and be sociable. And that was, I don't know, maybe a week later I ordered some cigars online, funnily enough, because I was too scared to go in the shop and ask as an amateur. And that's when I had my first cigar, and it just kind of stemmed from there. And from that first cigar, I just really enjoyed the experience. Being able to sit down, have that hour or two to yourself, to relax, unwind whilst smoking a cigar. There's just something that feels epic about it. Cool, classy, all of these things.
It's got that same vibe as a glass of wine at the end of the day, or a little tumbler of whiskey, or
exactly. Yeah,
I see. It's interesting. So that feels quite sporadic to me. You know, that's quite random.
Yeah, no, it is.
Random way to go, but I suppose nothing's done by design. You see, for me, it was a little different. Obviously, I was reintroduced to cigars by you. You know, a year and a little while ago. After that awful teen experience with some King Edwards after my pass out parade, and it was just the right time for me, because as you know, I used to be quite a heavy cigarette smoker a few years back, and I'd quit smoking entirely. And the reason I quit smoking is because I realised I was doing it out of a habit. Yeah, I mean, literally, it's a habit. It's a bad habit. And I'd repeatedly buy cigarettes and repeatedly smoke them, and realised I didn't enjoy that. I'd get halfway through a cigarette and go, this is awful, you know. I'd put it out halfway through and I'd walk away, and then half an hour or an hour later I'd decide I want a cigarette. I'd just go back outside. And
strange, isn't it? Pure habit.
And you know, obviously that element of chemical addiction to some extent. So eventually I decided I'm going to quit, and through by hook or by crook I gave up cigarettes. And again, there's always that. I think people might disagree with me online, but I'd love to hear people's comments on it. I think that once a smoker, always a smoker. You still, at least I do, I still think about it from time to time. Yeah. There'll still be a little set of circumstances, and I don't know what they are, but something will make my brain go, ooh, cigarettes. And I haven't yet given in to that urge. But there's definitely a void there to be filled. And I didn't know what it was. It wasn't vaping, because I'd tried it. It was fine, but it's just smoking fruit juice. I'm not really. It's just.
That is so true.
Someone once described it as smoking fruit juice out of a USB drive. That's.
Oh yeah.
That's what it kind of feels like.
I think you're about to ruin vaping for vapors.
Yeah, and there's an awful stigma to it as well. You know, you expected to wear a snapback and drive a Honda Civic type car. Yeah. And you know, they're very much like that. And obviously I've been into the vape shops, and a guy I know once went into a vape shop at the point he was trying to quit smoking, and the guy behind the counter, as he walked in, blew a humongous cloud of vape, right? And did a little trick with it or whatever, you know, blew a love heart, and then nodded all smugly at the guy and my friend just turned heel and walked straight back out the shop again and went nope, and never went back. I'm pretty sure he's still smoking cigarettes this day. But cigars arrived in my life thanks to you and the Cigars of London channel, and I liked that for numerous reasons. Is it filled that little void. It was something I actually enjoyed doing in that arena.
A reward?
A reward, and every time I pick one up, it's deliberate.
Yeah.
I pick one up because I want one to enjoy the experience. It's not habit. I'm not lighting up dozens of them a day. Yeah. I'll go, today's a cigar day. You know, there's a purpose to me doing that, and I enjoy every bit of it, and I analyse it, and I think about the flavours and the pairings and the situation in the company, and it's a memory marker for me. And also, what encouraged me to continue that was I went into it completely open-minded, as we've discussed before, and it was at the start of Cigars of London YouTube channel. So I knew that I could quite unbiasedly show my journey of cigars from literally day dot, my first actual enjoyable cigar, right the way through to today. And I think those are the reasons for me, really. it's a real poignant feel.
Yeah.
You know, it's a deliberate, enjoyable experience, and of course it has that kind of chic, classy edge to it as well. You know, there's an element of
which you are, John.
I thank you very much. Thank you very much. And I'll be careful what I say here because it's got a manly feel to it. Okay, or a masculine feel for what it is, culturally and socially.
Yeah.
But that's not to say there aren't women out there that enjoy cigars very well and are right into the culture. You know, we know a few online who are exactly that. But it does definitely lend to that feel of, like you say, the evening man routine.
Yeah, you know? Smoking a cigar is not just I need a cigar. I really need to sit down and have a cigar. It's the whole experience, isn't it? It's, you know, going to the cigar store, picking one up, you know, having a chat, blah blah blah, everything we covered last week, and rewarding yourself at the end of a week or of a summer evening outside, having a coffee with your girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever you're into these days.
Let's not get that onto that in the internet, in the podcast arena. There's plenty of people doing that already. We're in big trouble. But
digging a hole.
Yeah, but the thing is that, like you say, it's not an absent-minded endeavour, is it? It's not. Although I do smoke cigars in situations like where I'm driving.
Yeah.
I do that intentionally. I don't start one when I know I can't finish it. So if I have a long drive, you know, I'm a big audiobook fan. So if I'm driving somewhere, because I get around quite a lot around the country for different reasons, and that's a real enjoyable moment for me, because driving something I do quite a lot of, I cover quite a lot of miles.
Yeah.
And I work really hard for that not to be a stressed out commuter feel. So if I've never worried about traffic. I don't care. I put sat nav on purely because I'm too lazy to navigate on my own, not because I care how long it's going to take me.
Yeah.
And I'll put on an audiobook, and sometimes I'd light a cigar. And people hate getting in my car for that very reason, because it smells like cigars and the ashtray's full. It's disgusting, but I love it.
It's funny because going back to why I smoke cigars, it is because of that reason. You do not start one if you know you won't be able to finish it. So you do have to set aside that time for yourself. And in today's world, we don't do that. We're always on our phones or computers or laptops or talking to someone or constantly looking for attention, whether it's likes on Instagram or someone popping up on your WhatsApp or whatever. It's just that time to sit down with a drink or with friends and to really socialise and or have that moment on your own to reflect and just chill out.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's any better way to do that than with a cigar and a favourite drink. And I had a cigar with Gabby the other day.
Yeah.
And one of her questions was, are you addicted to cigars? Are they addictive? You know, like a cigarette would be. And I thought to myself, actually, no, they're not, because as I mentioned earlier on, I don't ever wake up and go, I could really do with a cigar right now.
Yeah.
Because I know it's that reward, it's that 2 hour sit down to yourself.
Do you think there are people who are that way with cigars? And I'm sure there are. I'm sure there's individuals everywhere who are the fringes of statistics, but do you think that's commonplace with cigars? Do you think there are people undercurrent in cigars all the time who are smoking them the same way a cigarette smoker would smoke them?
I'm not sure. I know one person personally who smokes machine rolled cigars, so they're a lot cheaper.
Little Hamlet type thing.
Yeah, and he will smoke them like cigarettes, to be honest. Why I'm unsure. He doesn't enjoy the expensive Cuban cigar thing. He doesn't really understand it. He's an ex-cigarette smoker. And with that being said, I also know a lot of cigarette smokers who quit cigarettes, tried vaping, didn't like it.
Yeah. So
they stopped everything altogether for that one reward on a Friday evening where they will sit down and have a cigar. Because I'll go back to it again and again. It's like a reward at the end of the day. It is for me anyway.
Yeah, it does have that element of luxury to it. And that reminds me, so we obviously did a video about why we smoke cigars a while ago, which I think is probably due for update.
Renewal. Yeah.
And one of the things that I said there was, I smoke cigars because I can. And I got a little bit of hate for that. I think people thought it was an empty statement.
Yeah.
And I feel like I need to probably bolster the statement a little bit, because it wasn't just something I said off the cuff. They're a luxury product for the most part. And I know we spend a lot of time talking about accessibility and affordability.
Yeah.
And that's obviously key too, because we want as many people to understand the luxury. You know, I'm not saying cigars should be completely watered down and should be corner shop available and should be unappreciated for what they are, because they do have that element of ceremony no matter what they are, Cuban or non-Cuban. But they are a luxury. I smoke cigars because I can, and the fact that I can gives me a good feeling. I'm like, I have the ability to appreciate this, to appreciate life. It's an appreciation of general existence.
Yeah.
I get to take one and go, I went and chose this for myself for this moment, and I can do that, and that's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, just thinking about the idea of doing that right now, it just fills me with joy. Like, the idea of going to the store tomorrow to pick up a cigar to enjoy over the weekend after a huge meal. There's just something about this right now, what we're doing.
Sure.
Sitting down, having a chat, you know, the whole room is filled with cigar smoke and it's amazing.
Yeah.
And everything about it is relaxed and pleasurable.
Yeah, it's true. And do you know what? I begin to associate, like we talk about the cigar itself, smoking the cigar, imprinting the memory of that time on you. I associate the rest of the process to some extent as well. Because I remember there's certain towns that we go to buy cigars. Yeah. And whenever I think of that town, I think of buying cigars.
Yeah.
And I go there for plenty of reasons, whatever it may be. But the most enjoyable times are, I think we've done this together and I've definitely done it on my own, gone to that particular town with my camera, with the intent of taking some pictures and buying some cigars. Yeah. And I spend 2 to 3 hours there getting a coffee, doing the whole process, that whole ritual from beginning to end of going and getting them and feeling excited about them and scurrying home with my little cardboard pouch full of a handful of cigars and enjoying them individually. There's something special about that. It's a little bit magical.
Yeah,
it's a little bit...
Cracking open the humidor.
Yeah, a little bit X Factor, a little bit umami. Something you can't quite put your finger on.
Yeah, no, I absolutely can't. I said to you off camera whilst we were having a short break, there's no real summary to it, I don't think. I just really enjoy everything about it. I do. This, for me, like smoking cigars, I guess, in the big scheme of things, is just for that pure relaxation. It is the only time I don't look at my phone. I don't look at my emails or YouTube views or whatever. You do just switch off.
Yeah.
I don't think many people have that thing in their life that they can sit down and just do that. Just do that one thing.
Yeah, and it's almost like a meditation.
Yeah.
You know, because as far as I understand meditation, and it's not very much, it's being in the moment. It's being focused on what's happening right now.
Yeah. And appreciating everything about it.
Yeah, and nothing I do that's passive is more like that than smoking cigars, because I'm sitting there appreciating the feel and the taste and the smell and the company and the surroundings and the conversation right there and then in that moment. And there's a happiness there that can't be quantified. But I don't think, like you say, that it's hard to put one answer on it because it's individualistic.
Yeah.
If we were to ask any of the listeners or any of the YouTube viewers, we'd get 1,000 different answers.
Yeah. And we enjoy the process so much. There's a dedicated YouTube channel.
Yeah.
A dedicated YouTube channel ×2, the podcast channel, which we've recently created. Instagram account with hundreds of pictures, not thousands.
Yeah.
Video clips, vlogs have been made. We've been visited cigar events all around this one topic.
Yeah, not to mention just the website that stands alone on its own.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is currently under reconstruction, is it not?
Oh, it's always under reconstruction. I'm always playing around with it, changing things, but
always improving.
Hopefully there'll be some products on there soon.
Oh, a little teaser.
That's the goal.
I'm looking forward to seeing what they are. I think I might have snuck a little peek at something over your shoulder on your PC the other day.
Yeah.
And I'm quite excited about seeing those. Oh yes. I'm very excited about pre-ordering one of those for myself.
I think I'll be so excited for it all, I'll just end up giving everything away.
Yeah.
Just giveaways.
I wonder,
so much going on.
I wonder. Talking about giveaways, should there be a first follow giveaway for those?
First follow.
Well, I know we discussed about perhaps giving some of these away.
Yeah.
Are you going to commit to a number of first people to follow after they launch freebies?
What, product-wise? Oh, yeah. Yeah, but I can't promise anything until I've got the product.
I see. Something to look out for, I think.
But I will be all over sending people emails with, I've got a lot of competition ideas in mind.
Excellent.
But for the most part, I appreciate people's viewership so much. Like, the reason I said I want to give things away is because of that reason. We wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for people in this world who enjoy our content.
And that is the best part about all this media that we put out in the varying different ways, is the interaction with people and their experiences.
And I think that's one of the reasons I wanted to do a podcast, is because it's a great way for people to be able to reach out and listen to us, have a conversation. They can get to know us a bit better. We were talking about interviewing each other soon.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
Which I think would be interesting, because it gives people a better idea of who we are and why we do what we do.
Yeah, I think, I don't think I've ever actually been interviewed. So just digressing a little, shall we dive back into the cigar we're smoking? How are you feeling about it?
Yeah, it's a good cigar. I'll be honest, it's not ticking all of my boxes.
Okay. Is it missing something, or is it something that you didn't want?
I think it's missing. I don't know. Is it missing something? I think it's just an easy cigar to smoke. It's an easy smoke, is what I was supposed to say. It's not required a lot of thought. The flavors haven't really changed or developed as such. In fact, the spiciness has mellowed down a little bit for me. It's not so much on the back of my tongue anymore.
Yeah.
It's a bit tamer. It has mellowed out a little bit, but overall the smoke's been very good. I've had to relight it once because we had a short break, but the draw has been perfect. The burn has been perfect. Good smoke output, but yeah, I mean, look, for a £15 cigar, can you complain, really?
Not at all. Yeah, I agree with most of those points. I think burn's been great. I haven't relit. Mellowed out, and the flavours have balanced towards this final third of the cigars. I'm just sort of tucking into now. The spices are still there, but they're not as harsh. They've disappeared off the back of my tongue, and they're just kind of lingering in the edges of the smoke. Yeah. That bit of caramel stayed there all the way throughout on my lips. That coating still around. I'm interested that I've a lot of comments online about this cigar are that there's quite a lot of deep chocolatey flavours. There is some there, but it's not heavy, I don't think. It's a background note.
I've not recognised that at all in this cigar, if I'm honest.
It's a bitter chocolate, because everything about this cigar is quite bitter and spicy. And like I say, the bitter caramel or burnt caramel flavour. So it feels like there's to me, on the palate, somewhere in the background, a background note of chocolate, but I wouldn't say it's prominent.
I guess on the retrohale there is a slight hint of a dark chocolate.
It's an aftertaste thing,
but it's very subtle.
Yeah,
it doesn't stand out to me.
I don't think so.
So would you go back to another one of these?
Yeah, easily.
Yeah,
easily.
Yeah. It reminds me of the last Rocky Patel cigar we had.
I
think it was a 50th anniversary or something. I don't want to
do it a disservice.
No, but it was a box press. It's reminding me of that. It was just an alright cigar.
Yeah.
Nothing that's, there's nothing jumping out at me. There's nothing. Wow.
No.
This is incredible.
No, I don't hate it, and it's not just because. So we've discussed before that I think both of our palates favour those coffee chocolate flavours.
Yeah.
But definitely in that rich coffee chocolate flavour end.
Yeah.
Because sometimes when they get too sweet and you start to get a lot of vanilla, I'm not a big fan. So this doesn't really sit in my favourite flavour profile.
Sure.
But I don't think that's the reason I'm finding it a non-event. Not a
Yeah.
non-event, but it's not making me do backflips.
Mm.
Like I said, I just think it is a smoke.
Yeah.
You know? You pick it up and
Yeah.
you do all the things that you do with a cigar, and you can appreciate the flavours.
Mm.
Doesn't set my palate on fire. It's a bit one-dimensional.
Yes. Yeah.
But that's not to say it's a bad thing.
No.
If you want to pick up a non-Cuban for £15, and if your taste buds live in that space and you like that spicy thing,
You'll love it.
buy one of these. Buy a box.
Yeah.
Because it's right there.
Yeah. No, it is. It is. Let me go for another draw.
The suspense is killing me.
I am enjoying it, and I have enjoyed it throughout. I do think it's just an easy smoke, though. It's the sort of thing you could have with work. I wouldn't devote an hour. I wouldn't devote an hour to this cigar. Like, I wouldn't sit down, like I was saying earlier. I wouldn't treat this like a Cuban.
Yeah.
It would be in the car, doing some work, relaxing. If you got halfway through it and forgot about it, it's not the end of the world. Relight it, you're good to go. But I wouldn't want to do that with a Cuban.
Yeah.
I want a Cuban start to finish, but...
So I wanted to revisit the thing we spoke about in the first half of the podcast, where we spoke about which we preferred over Cubans and non-Cubans.
Yeah.
And I want to ask you a bit of a be-all and end-all question on that.
Go on.
Name me your top 3
Oh, God.
favourite cigars.
Mm-hmm.
And look, you can those can be individual sticks that you quite liked,
Yeah.
or they can be a brand that you favour as a go-to.
Okay.
But you've got to name me 3 cigars that roll off the top of your head at the minute.
Okay. They're all Cubans.
There you go. There you go.
I would say the Bolivar Libertador is my all-time favourite cigar.
Yeah.
The size of the cigar is... It just makes you feel like you're bawling.
Yeah.
Flavours, actually, not my go-to flavour-wise. Quite peppery. There is a little bit of chocolate in there.
Yeah.
I've had a couple of them, and both of them have been absolutely outstanding.
Yeah.
Number 2 of my top 3 will be the St. Louis Rey that we spoke about earlier.
Uh-huh.
And my number 3 will... Trinidad Vihia.
Yeah.
Actually,
Okay.
because I don't know, there's something about that cigar that really stood out to me.
There's an intensity to that that's quite special over here.
Yeah, and I still, again, I enjoy that cigar because I remember us smoking that outside a coffee shop in the garden
Yeah. Yeah, that was a fantastic day.
in Weybridge, and it was freezing cold outside, but that cigar was amazing. And there's something about it that just makes me want another one.
The reason I asked this question is because I think I've found a way, I think, for at least for me, to quantify why I like either side, right? And for sure, I like the Cubans, and I think my top 3 probably sit in the Cuban range. That San Luis Rey is in there. Go-tos, I don't care what people say, I'll smoke Churchills all the time if I don't have to think about it. And then for a third one, oh dear, that's a difficult one. But again, the ones I'm arguing with myself in my head are Cubans. So, but that kind of makes a point for me, is my ones that if I have to absolutely, going back to your going to the shop with £30 question, I'd probably just put an extra £5 on it and get something that I want in the Cuban range. But the reason I quite like non-Cuban cigars is this.
Yeah.
Okay, it affords us the ability to do this, and I enjoy them. And there's some great ones that there are non-Cubans that are better than Cubans, and the crossover there's a Venn diagram in the middle. It's all mashed up for sure. But it's the accessibility level for everybody else. Every time we've done something that's reached out to our followership, we've done a live stream, we've done the smoke alongs. It's always been a non-Cuban. It's something that's been accessible to everybody, and we've had that more community feel out of smoking non-Cuban cigars from people internationally than we ever have with Cubans.
Yeah, no, that is true. That is true. Yeah, no, that is true. Really thinking about it, and considering most of our videos on YouTube have been Cuban cigar reviews. With what you just said there, yeah, I mean, there's a reason we've been choosing non-Cuban cigars for this exact moment for these podcasts.
So I want to set as a challenge.
Yeah.
Obviously, we've loosely committed to sticking as much as we can to non-Cubans for the sake of this podcast, right?
Yeah.
I want us to hunt out a non-Cuban cigar that could break into that top 3.
Yeah, no, that's a plan. Yeah. Because it's funny, after the conversation that we've just had, Cubans versus non-Cubans, I think both of us come to the conclusion that we would go Cuban.
Yeah.
And when asked our top 3 cigars, out of any, both of our top 3s were Cuban.
Yeah.
So if we could find something that could break in, that would be amazing.
And I feel like we've flip-flopped around with inconsistency a little bit by me kind of saying, well, if I went, I'd probably get a handful of non-Cubans because then I'd be able to walk away and all that kind of stuff. But when I really think about why we enjoy them, it's because of this.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think challenge accepted. I think we need to go and find some that
and
busted and experiment. And I think it's one more thing to ask the audience.
Yeah.
I think if you guys don't already follow the Cigars of London Instagram page or either of the YouTube channels, please subscribe to the Cigars of London YouTube channel and the Cigars of London podcast YouTube channel, and inundate us with suggestions, please.
Yeah.
Because we walk into a shop and we grab stuff, but it'd be amazing to get people's feedback, and especially with that question in mind, please try and suggest us a cigar that is going to knock one of those top 3 spots off.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
Yeah,
that would be so good. I'm not sure if it's going to be possible.
Oh,
because I really enjoy that Bolivar.
You do.
I really enjoy that. Although it's £35. I'm not sure you can buy a £35 non-Cuban cigar.
Maybe.
And if you do, it's humongous.
Yeah. Maybe that's where it'll sit.
Maybe
it's the inch. Maybe that's the one that makes your day.
And on that note, we should probably close out the podcast.
Yeah, let's wrap it up. It's been great coming back again, Jed.
Sorry, I was enjoying my cigar. All right, so thanks to all of our listeners. If you've made it this far, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast YouTube channel. This podcast will also be available on Spotify, and we will be back next week with another non-Cuban cigar.
Looking forward to it.